Mhm.
There we go. And we're almost live, guys. Oh my, look at it.
Wow.
And we're live. I don't know
Hey.
how to shut down that 7-second countdown.
Oh,
I am
don't you?
so honored. I have Coach Stephen Thomas. I don't know if you go by coach. I'm used to the coach
That's
title.
okay. Mm.
Those in my audience know I have a live on Sunday with my husband. Uh, no, I kept saying, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. So we're going to get into it. Let me say hi. I know people will be coming in as the notification goes out, but I want to say a particular hello to John Together Strong, amazing channel, Bacon Runner. These are all our carnivore friends. Bacon Runner, I'm sorry, is Donna Ray. Brisket
Mhm.
Boomers is Amy. Thanks for coming, Amy. George Goodenough needs no introduction, Ambassador. Granny Southern Corner, my wonderful friend I met just in a new YouTube niche, and she is carnivore, but that's not what her channel is about. Hi, Dr. Ninja Turtle. He's here, a great friend and fan. Jay Bigger, he must be coming from your channel, I think.
Possibly. I don't know.
Possibly. It's hard to know everyone. You're big. Sandy, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. Hi, Bill. Hey, Lainey. I'm trying to look. Hey, Phil. Thanks for coming. If you know Richard, you could start. Sorry, Stephen. Sorry about that. You could start by putting QQQ right now because he could answer anything.
No, well, not
Stephen,
anything.
Stephen, go ahead and tell us a little about yourself, uh, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you. It's nice to see people coming in.
Thanks.
Yes. Well, one of the things, I'm 61, and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know, actually. Just pick up on that first or last bit that you just said. But yeah, I've been in the low carb, keto, and carnivore space for 11 years. I went low carb in on my 50th birthday, and I was carnivore by the time of my 55th birthday. That's when I decided to go carnivore. And before that, I believed in high carb, and I followed the food guidelines, and I was eating porridge and skim milk and having fruit and not smoking and not drinking, not having red meat. And I was just getting fatter and sicker and more towards diabetes, and I had lower left quadrant pain and a CAC score of 639. It was all
Oh,
going really wrong. So when I went low carb, all those problems started to evaporate. And the more I took the carbs out, the better I felt. I've got a vast array of different qualifications over those many years. I have an honours degree in English literature, but that's not relevant to what we do now. I've also got an honours degree in physiology and health sciences. I'm a specialist practitioner in obesity and diabetes, trained in phlebotomy, qualified, ran a private blood testing lab for 10 years, or just over 10 years. I do continual professional development to this day in the blood hematology, because I'm interested in that a great deal. So yeah, so a lot of skills really, I suppose, but they all join hands. Before that, I was an advanced personal trainer, so I know a fair bit about exercise. And before that, I had lower back specialism in rehab for people with injuries. So yeah, completely mixed bag. But I think it's been helpful. Over 1,000 people now that I've helped, loving it, really enjoying meeting new people, going onto different channels. I've got the Common Sense Carnivore group, an online community, which is so fast growing. It's really surprised me. So yeah, lots of irons in the fire. I do a daily article on Substack where I demystify all the science and break down all the sort of long technical words and try to make it really understandable. So that's me in a nutshell.
wonderful. Now, I was a member of school SKOOL for a very
Hmm.
long time. Are you still on that platform? And if not, where do we find you that we could?
Yeah,
let-
yeah. The Common Sense Carnivore group is on the school platform. Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, great. I probably need to pay the very small fee and get back on there because I think a lot of the people are from all different nations and such a nice group of people. You can post any questions and they're so polite. They never say, well, you should do this or you should. They're so polite. I'm not putting us Americans down, but they're just so extra polite. Where as many of the Brits say, "Man, you Americans are a little hardcore," because if someone says I eat low fat, we're like, "No, you're wrong. Go to jail." I have to say a special hello to Kevin at Tuber Chat. He shared us on Reddit. If you haven't been on Tuber Chat, please check it out. It's where small creators like myself get together. We support each other. It is a fun group. I cry when I miss it. They're on 3 days, about 3 days a week. Again, Tuber Chat, special shout out to Kevin. I appreciate you stopping by. So, look at he's saying hi to everybody. So tell me now, I do you have a solid date and time where you go live? I notice, I love it. You go live with our good friend Jonathan Carnivore
Mhm,
Muscle, as
mhm,
well as Dave Mack. When are
mhm.
those set times? I tend to come and go and sometimes
Uh,
miss out of them.
I'm in state-controlled Britain, so I'll do it all in British time. Dave Mack is on a
Sure.
Friday at
Okay.
10:30 in the morning, and that's every Friday, which I really enjoy. And on Sunday, I've started to do a 5 p.m. in the afternoon because I'm trying to get a little bit more in tune with my circadian rhythms. Um, because I think it's a little bit hypocritical sometimes to say we shouldn't be looking at screens late at night, but here I am at 10 p.m. in the
I
evening doing this, but
know.
it's fine. But yeah, so they're the regular lives, and in my group, I also do lives 6 p.m. on a Monday and on a Wednesday Wellness, and on a Sunday. So always at 6 o'clock
And when you say 6 o'clock, is that you Great
evening.
Britain?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
okay? So we just have to subtract 5 hours for USA time, right?
Well, yeah. Well,
Or
actually, it depends where you are in the states, really.
yeah, we use go. What is he asking? Let's see. My electric company raised prices, so my news team went to them to talk electric. I don't know what this is about. Oh, okay. He said, then the electric company said video games use a lot about, I don't know what this means, but thanks for your question. Bill's a good friend of ours. Grizzly, I'm not sure, but are you a carnivore diet eater? And yes, Bill was joking on the question. I figured that out, Bill. Uh, Jonathan, sleep's overrated. So tell me do you still take clients as a coach? And if so, how do they reach you?
Well, you can go onto my UK Carnivore website, which is called the ukcarnivore.com/booking, and all the consults are there. But it's done regionally. So if you're in Australia, there's a section for you to go onto, and if you're in Europe, there's a section. If you're in the UK, there's a section, and if you're in America and Canada, there's a section there. So everything's pretty much targeted for where you are, and tries to be in time with your your time zones. I mean, Jonathan's just said that he's going to start a petition to make me sleep. Well,
Oh,
I
I
do
know
sleep,
it's late. I
but
can
no,
tell
that's
you're
fine.
tired. I'm so sorry.
Really? Can
I have
you? Yes. Yeah.
a
It's
little.
been good though. I mean, a lot of consults today, and I did a couple of live streams, and was in my group today. So yeah, it has been busy.
Yeah.
Repairing the house after things not looking so great when we first moved in and having the roof flood and all that. So yeah, it's been.
Oh,
And my dog was attacked over Christmas, so that
I remember. How is your
yeah.
dog doing? Because
Oh, he's
I've been
fantastic.
watching. You said good, yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic now. He's really fantastic. Raw meat carnivore, 6 years. Yep, and that's basically the only thing that's ever happened to him. He's fit as a butcher's dog, as they say. And you know, we just didn't want any of the medications, but we
Mhm.
obviously went along with it on the day of the surgery, but after that, he didn't need any meds at all. He's just brilliant, to be honest.
We started feeding our cats, and they did really well, but too late in life. And they didn't like, Pottinger's cats, like Dr. Kiltz likes to talk about. They didn't like the raw meat, but they did like it slightly cooked. So I put them on a, a slightly cooked meat diet about a year or so ago, and then they loved the raw butter. And I would just give them a little lick in between meals, and it really curbed their hunger. They looked wonderful. Unfortunately, I started it when they were age 16 and 18, a little too late. They had already contracted one, cancer, and one just old age. But we're getting a kitten soon, so they will be fed the carnivore way.
Excellent.
So tell me and I'm so interested as a coach, most of your clients, so if someone reaches out to you today, I'll pause in a minute to say hello. What is the main thing you're seeing? Are you seeing people that are keto and say, I want to go carnivore? Or are you seeing people that are carnivore that struggle a little bit? And what do you see as far as the main struggle with carnivore?
What a great question. I've never had that question, and that's
Really?
such an obvious one. Well done.
No, I'm just curious. I don't write them down. They just pop in my head.
No, it's a real conversation, which is what I prefer, to be honest. I would say there's a lot of people want their bloods looked at, because the interpretation of bloods is very poor in the mainstream medical world, and in this context of eating, a lot of the numbers aren't relevant. And I can explain why they're not relevant, or what, in comparison to the normal ranges. Our ranges are different. That's what I mean by relevance. So there's things that are allegedly low are absolutely totally fine with this way of eating, and some things that are, allegedly high are totally fine with this way of eating. It's all provable and backed by studies, which is why I do the daily Substack, so people can click on the references. So I'm always talking about the HbA1c being unreliable. We know why, and when people say my blood glucose is higher than I was expected, well, actually, there is a reason why that is, and it's totally fine. I do get some very interesting, very interesting cases, where we're dealing with things like cancer, and we're talking, kidney failure. So some of it's pretty, upsetting to deal with. But in the main, there's a lot about diabetes. There's a lot about body composition. Like I say, kidney is a big one. Thyroid is another one. To be honest, I think because of what I do, there's not a thing. It's all very, joined up. As in, if I know about blood, you have to know about everything a little bit, because otherwise you can't interpret them. If you don't know what that hormone does, you don't know what that electrolyte does, then you can't talk about many things. So because there's over 150 biomarkers in a simple blood panel, so I think people know that, and it's easy to reverse engineer, because I was doing that for so many years that if someone comes in and says, I've got low vitamin C and my ferritin's high, and then you look at the iron panel, you can pretty much reverse engineer what's going on and why they're worried, and how to resolve things, really. So.
And it's very rare the ferritin is high if you look at the whole pattern and all the bloods, because they're carnivore. I know enough to be dangerous, but not to explain.
Yes.
Let me read Lady, of course. What do you think about cold water therapy? We all know DC Rebuilding has recommended it for her. And I believe, if I could also share, Lainey, that you've done some of the cold water therapy maybe this weekend, and I saw you jumping around happy. I don't know what it did, but it looked very interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's not something I do personally. I've tried it. I've had cold showers, and screamed my roof off, because I'm not really a cold person. But obviously, it does work for many people. It gives you a lot of relief from inflammation, which is really good. And the thing that Ben Bickman goes on about, which is the activation of brown adipose tissue, the brown fat. So what's happening is, instead of your fat being used for energy and movement, or ATP being used for movement, you actually get your adipose tissue, your brown tissue, warming you up. So it does improve your circulation, and it's good for your vascular health and all that. So short exposure is pretty good, and it can improve your mood, I think. Yeah. But it's like anything. If you have too much, which is the very definition of something that's excessive, it could be problematic. So there's all these people worried about cortisol, calling it a stress hormone, which is a terrible thing. It's a homeostatic hormone. It can help you with things like that as well. So I would say it's one of those things that I would move into gently. I wouldn't do lots of long exposure in it. And I can give you a really good example of how the physiology is amazing, and people look at things in the wrong way. So one of my sort of heroes is Randolph Fiennes. He's an explorer. He crossed the Antarctic with Dr. Mike Stroud, and they did it with fueled on fat. Their blood glucose was 1 millimole per liter at some point, 18 milligrams per deciliter, and they're still able to cross the Antarctic. So that showed that you could be highly ketogenic and do really well. But medically, with those numbers, it's all tied up now. With those numbers, in the medical textbooks, they shouldn't even be able to think, because the blood glucose is so low. So there is a point about cold therapy. Now, imagine that. So this is a guy that's gone across Antarctica, and he got into cold therapy recently. Now, you would think this man has crossed the polar region. He would be able to get into a cold water tank and do brilliantly. But he was fantastic. He said, look, I've spent my entire life trying to stay warm. So he could only do 4 minutes in a cold water submersion thing, but he can cross the Antarctic. So this is what I'm saying about human physiology. It's the way you look at things. So he was not equipped to be in the cold, because he's never wanted to be in the cold. He's always wanted to try and be warm in a cold environment, but then he had to give that up and become cold in the cold environment, and he found it really difficult. So I think we are not meant to be that cold. Right, so I understand the principle of the hormetic stress. I understand that, but we want to be a certain temperature. It's exactly the same with our blood. We want it to be a certain pH, and our body will do absolutely everything to keep you in that homeostatic and hemostatic range as well. So when we do the cold water therapy, I don't think it's something that you want to do for a long period of time. I think the short, sharp shock might be a good thing, but there are people out there that do a lot of cold water therapy, and they absolutely swear by it and do really well. I will never, ever deny someone's own experience. But to me, you got to be careful with it. And it doesn't fit everybody. So when people say you should try this as DC, I reckon, I think DC's a really great guy, and, he wouldn't do anything irresponsible. But, a brief exposure is probably better than prolonged exposure. That's what I'd say.
Wonderful. That's so interesting. Neil Franks, I watched a podcast of you and Dr. Abs from a year ago. You mentioned that you were going to have a repeat CAC scan in the future. My question is whether you have yet.
No, I haven't. And that's an interesting thing, because we're still looking. What people don't get about the NHS is they use the same equipment a lot of the times as someone paying a private fee. So if I was to pay to have a CAC, I would be taking a spot away from someone who needs it to live, who wants an urgent diagnosis. And I just can't do that. Hand on heart, I can't do that. So I'm waiting until the waiting lists have gone down, because the waiting list during the restrictions for that treatment was something like there was 1,000 people in the waiting list. Over a million. It became over 1 million at one point. So yeah, I will do that at some point, but not for biohacking purposes, but maybe, I don't know, 7 years. So it's like the 7-year itch or the 10-year itch, or, so let's have a look. So what am I now? Say 11 years.
11
Well,
years, that's
yeah,
long.
maybe, yeah. I can't think of a catchphrase, but maybe like it's another year or something like that, maybe. Or 13, 13. Unlucky 13. Yeah, am I going to be unlucky? So in 2 more years'
Nick,
time, maybe.
can I ask you a what if question? So
Yeah.
the CAC is 2000? What,
Will
if
it be?
anything, would you do different?
Well, this is it. I mean, that's brilliant. See, Julia, that's why I wanted to come on, because you ask the questions other people don't ask. So when I had mine done, it was 639, and my wife had hers done. Hers was 0, and I spoke to a consultant, and he said, "Don't worry too much. The guy before you was 3,000." So what is a coronary artery calcium scan? It's showing you the hard set calcium that has protected you from actually dying or having a serious issue, because it's nature's stent. That's what it is. So the soft plaque is more worrisome. So you get a CT angiogram. But we also know at my age, if you look at the average progression, now, firstly, I would want to, if it had gone up, I would want to look at, well, what would my progression be from 50 to 61? Let's say it compounds at 25% per year. I think it would be in the thousands. I really do. So if I'd gone from 639 to say 900, well, yeah, it's gone up, but it's gone up much slower than other people. Now, this is what you just said. I want to hit on it. This is the sliding doors thing I talk to people about. I will never be able to know what would have happened if I hadn't have gone low carb, keto, and carnivore. That's the thing. And this is what Bart Kate always bangs on about, metabolic ward lock-ins, identical twins doing exactly the same thing. So whatever the number is whatever the number would be. It might even regress, So I don't know, but I would certainly look at it in the context of, have I firstly bucked the trend? If it's progression, is it slower than what the average person of my age has got? Secondly, how will I be able to compare it to, say, if I'd have been vegan? Well, I can't do that, or vegetarian. How do I feel? What's my blood pressure? Everything, just basically everything. I would look at all those things. And you're right. What can I do? That's it. That's the number.
That's it.
I can't undo that number. So that's the number, and I'd live with it.
Exactly. And, my doctor said, go come back to get your cholesterol. And I'm like, I paid for my own test. I know what it is. And I'm very happy with it. I'm fine. It's all good. Doesn't matter
Yes.
the number. There's nothing I would change, but I knew, and I'm not carnivore, very long, 14 months, but I knew before that, for months before that, for years before that, on medication for type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure, and the list goes on. I knew in my head that I wasn't going to live past 65. And I'm thinking, if I can make it a few more years, I'll be happy. It wasn't depression as much as I just knew. I was pretty darn sick, and I wasn't getting back better. And my doctor said, it's genetics. Nothing. He literally said, I said, what can I do? I work out. I'm lean. I eat healthy. And he said, nothing you can do. So that leaves, and if any of you have heard that, or just checking out, let me put it this way, or just checking out carnivore because you're new to the channel from a different niche, I appreciate you coming. If you're there, that is not true, that it's genetic and you are just stuck with type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure or IBS or attacks of colitis if you have colitis. It's just false.
Absolutely. I mean, when I trained to do the diabetes and obesity specialist practitioner qualification, I mean, that's what they were saying. Don't forget, type 2 diabetes is chronic and progressive. Well, it isn't. And people reverse it. And then when people get into it's a genetic disease, I think, well, how come when they change their diet, it goes away? We didn't change their DNA. We didn't change their genes. They changed the way they eat.
100%. And it does. I don't know about you, but it does leave me sometimes, when I think about it, bitter.
Yes.
Just still bitter about it. I try to get over it, but still bitter that was said to me. Do you know the book Eat Fat, Grow Thin, Dr. Richard Macronus? Lainey found it.
Oh, yes. Can I just say, Target Prime Rib has said, I would love to have Stephen on my channel, but probably can't. But
He does that every time I go on. Whatever guest I have, he posts, please come on my channel. I could
just message me.
Yeah.
Zero
It's not
carb
that hard.
No, zero carb coach at Gmail.
I saw that and I figured right after this, I was going to just email him. He's a good friend and a great moderator. I was just going to message him and say, Thomas, of course you could ask Stephen on. Like I have some special nothing.
Yes, I mean the book. Yes, well, I mean it's yes, it's in the title, isn't it? Eat fat, grow thin. I mean it prioritizes fat and protein, so it's obviously very good. Of course, when it was published, 1958, you would think it would be more widely known because it's been around a long time. So yes, but yeah, it holds up, doesn't it? Because it's saying what we think, George, is that you should eat fat and protein. So yeah, I think it's great, and I'm a great fan of books. I mean, like I say, it's amazing how many times you hear about nutrition in the middle of a book that maybe where you're not expecting it to be really prominent. So I like autobiographies, and I'm also interested in sport. I mean, I'm only 5'10", but I did win one singles title in tennis, and I did play quite a reasonable level of soccer, and I was playing five-a-side up until last year. So, like I say, the Mike Stroud book where he crossed the polar regions. I mean, that doesn't really concentrate on nutrition, but nutrition is mentioned, and fat is golden for them because it gives them so much, so much more for such less weight. I mean, that's important when you're pulling a sledge. And I think any book from the past that's talked about protein and fat will stand up so well, basically.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that about Thomas. I am absolutely teasing. He has some great guests on, and then I'm the one going, "Can I?" We're very close. But I saw where he wrote that. He goes, "But I guess I can't." Oh no, Thomas is awesome. Anybody would love to be on his channel as a guest for sure. Yeah, I guess we're spoiled. We pay a boatload for insurance. It's most my salary here. But when I see things like George wrote, I'm waiting for a hernia appointment. And that scares me a little bit. Yeah, it sounds like NHS is serious overload.
Yeah, well, it is. The NHS is so badly run. I just feel sorry for the people working there. I don't think anyone that works there is nefarious or rubbish. I just think that it's from the top, basically. The NHS is awful. And, I did a thing about scandalous behaviour in pharmaceutical companies. And I added, if you're in the UK and you're all smug and think the NHS don't do this, well, they do. So one thing I wrote about was a venture capitalist who bought a generic drug, and this was in America, and he hiked the price up by 5,000%. He was taken to court, but he was cleared because it wasn't illegal. It might have been moral, but it was illegal. And, that's a big price hike. So people that needed that medication, it was a real struggle. 5,000% increase is scandalous, overnight. Well, in the NHS, there's been drugs where they've raised the price because they arrange contracts where they saw the price rise over 6,000%. So,
that's
we are not exempt in the UK, and we think the NHS is squeaky clean. Well, some people do, but it just totally isn't.
So
there's a good question. Sorry, go on.
No, read the question, please.
What particular books would you recommend for optimal health? Now, it depends whether you want to go geeky. Hang on a minute.
Yes, let's get geeky.
Right, so geeky, I would definitely do Guyton's Medical Physiology textbook. That's expensive, but it will tell you everything you need to know. Absolutely.
Wow. And would it be for the I'm okay, smart, but not medical? Like, would I be able to
I think if you've got a bit of knowledge, you'll be able to do it. If you want a really basic one, that's the cover of my book, How to Be Carnivore.
I love it. I love that.
So that's just the cover of it. And I think my Guide to Bloods is pretty good. Nina Teichau, the great Big Fat Surprise, is very good. I would actually say things like Zoe Harcombe's website is fantastic. So I would subscribe to that. I know you're asking about books, but
Yeah.
if you want knowledge about science and nutrition and health, she is amazing, Zoe Harcombe. Yeah,
What do you
it's
think about
difficult.
this one? It says ketogenic, the science of therapeutic
Is that
carbohydrate.
Tim Noakes? Is that Tim Noakes, that one?
Let's see, it's edited by, guys, you could help them. Yeah, that's the one. That
Yeah,
was a US dollars. I paid 170.
yeah,
So that was an investment, but I like it.
yeah. I've not read it. I like Tim Noakes,
You
and
do?
I like his methodology, but I think you can get some more bite-sized things. The Clot Thickens by Malcolm Kendrick, Dr. Malcolm Kendrick, is a fantastic book if you want to understand, heart disease, and also how corrupt mainstream medicine is. He's very good at that, and he's funny, so it's a great book. The Clot Thickens, I think, is possibly my favourite book in this space for just being quite entertaining, quite broad, and quite an eye opener. So, yeah.
And hold up your book again. And where do we get that? Can we get that as in the United States? Could we just get on Amazon?
Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. Got all my
Could you hold
books.
it up again? Because it's adorable.
Well, How to be Carnivore is one. I do a carnivore cookbook. Well, if you find me as an author on there, my guide to blood tests is good. So
that would be a wonderful one to send as a little gift to new clients. I do some coaching. I'm not in big time yet, but I've discussed many of the local clients. So they're from my local gym. They are not interested in carnivore. That's okay. We take people where they are, but we do get off sugars. We do get off grains. We do, we don't label it that conversation, more of a keto. And as we slowly, and as they start feeling good, then the not labeled carnivore diet. I don't like that at the gym. The owner, a lot of them are on week 2 of, they don't call it carnivore, but they don't know that. No carbs, 0 carb. So it's interesting. I would love to give them a little, reward or whatever for their, you've gotten through 2 weeks. Here, have this book and join us on YouTube. Stephen, you are drawing the biggest crowd ever.
Oh, really? Okay, that's very kind.
I'm stressed, guys. Why
are you stressed, Juliet? Sorry, why are you stressed?
No, I think because I know everyone, most of them personally, and I feel bad not saying hi to each individual
Well,
one.
say hi to them. It's fine. It's a conversation. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. These are great friends. Mason, I adore. Black Box Warning. I think he's on your channel, but I know who that is. And CB, thank you guys for coming. Bentry, Steadfast is Sharon. Let's see who I'm missing. I'm missing a lot. And Bill Cook, lovely man. He's hardcore carnivore. He's the one that'll get, if I have someone on alive that's keto, or worse, on GLP-1s. Oh, watch out.
Dear.
I can't on Bill.
Well, that's good. That's good, Julia. You've actually had some people that are on GLP-1s come on your channel, have you?
I have. And the reason is I am really learning a lot about them for one reason. At the gym, as the newer coach, I'm opening up my coaching online, but they give me all the clients perhaps that they don't want to deal with. So who do I get? They said, Juliet, do you know anything about GLP-1s? And I said, yes, I'm actually, I like to research things. And so they said, here's your client base. So I work with them. It's too late to say you should have never done that. But I work with them to let's get our carbs down. Let's get our diet right. Let's titrate down. And that's the goal. I'll only work with them if they're looking to titrate down under a doctor care. But most people just buy them online, and there is no doctor care, and I'm not a doctor. So I do require they do talk to a doctor on the titration, because that is beyond my scope. But yes, I do work with them, and it's okay, because they go from just an awful diet. They go on a GLP-1s, they lose muscle, they lose bone, they lose tendon. They're left in pretty poor shape, and that's okay. And I'm there to help them. They recognize it. I don't have to explain to them. They
No.
will reach out to me and say, I lost a lot of weight. I'm so happy, but I have no muscle. I look bad. And they realize it themselves. Those are great clients, actually. I think
Well,
there are
that's where you
people.
learn. You see, the thing is, we can't be blinkered, because the lived experience of people who are actually on it give you the confidence to be able to talk about it. You're not talking about it because you're parroting some person that you've seen talk about it. You've talked to those people, you've met them, you've heard them, and nothing beats personal experience. You just spoke from the heart because you've had them on your channel.
Yes.
And it was clearly evident that it was authentic and real. That's the thing. I've got people that are on GLP-1s, not on my channel necessarily, but people I've consulted with, and they all want to get off them. Now that's really interesting to know firsthand, because there's not one that has ever consulted with me and said, I love it. They're all feeling nauseous. They lack motivation. Like you say, they're worried about muscle loss. You have people in the family come along and say, well, look, we're worried because their motivation's gone. That's amazing. They're not enjoying anything, and which is one of the things that it does. It takes away your enjoyment of food, but not just food, but everything else. So that's the best thing you can do. There's no point in saying, well, you're on that, I don't like them, so I don't want to speak to you, because that's not going to help. And in the long run, the only way to understand it is to speak to people who actually lived it, find out what's not making them feel happy about it. And you're right, they lose weight. It does do that. I mean, it does do that. But I won't go as far as Bart's, like we can cut your arm off and lose weight, but it is bad how it is doing it. And that's the thing that I find difficult. You are slowing your movement, the waves in your small intestine, which are normally about 11 per minute. You're slowing that down. You're emptying your stomach slower. This is why we get some people with paralysis of the small intestine, which is a side effect. Some people are going blind as a side effect. Some people get the Ozempic face, where it all starts to cave in. Well, when you've got plastic surgeons doing adverts for Ozempic face, we can fix it, that there's something up. And
I have not seen
terrible.
that, but that is scary.
Yeah. So, it's not a drug I like. I'm not saying, if people are mishearing me, I'm not saying I think it's great that people are on it. I'm saying I think it's great that Julia is speaking to these people and trying to help them to get off. And obviously, yes, you're right, the prescribing physician has to titrate them off. Absolutely. But, many people want to get off without any pressure from outside, because they just literally feel sick of it. They're very nauseous all the time.
They come to the conclusion on their own. And I know I've seen it in chat, maybe not in this group. I've seen in chats where people say, no, don't do it. And they're yelling. And sometimes a gentle hand and knowledge will allow them to think a little bit,
Yes.
before they decide. But if they did, who among us has not made a bad decision with our health?
Exactly.
Sometimes we have tried everything. We have not taken an easy way out. Same with these people. Sometimes we make decisions, but our brains can't think. We're not yet carnivore. We are low fat. We all came from somewhere. And, I never thought I'd be here today with you or on YouTube or coaching. This is all crazy. But when you learn the freedom and the health of carnivore, it's hard not to share it with absolutely everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If we could help just one person, we've done our job. So let's see. I'd love to hear this from Bridesmaid. did nothing for me, positive or negative. That was my experience. I won't share the doctor's name that we all know and love. And I appreciated him telling us in a recent Zoom that they did GLP-1s. Maybe it was for type 2 diabetes and
Well,
overweight.
yeah, about
And
11 years ago. Yeah.
uh,
Sorry, go
so,
on.
no, that's okay. So the doctor telling us, and I love the way he did. He goes, I was on him for months. I didn't lose an ounce. And I don't know why. I'll tell you the doctor after, but his sense of humor cracked me up. Like, he's like, I'm the only person that, it's working for. And I thought, well, you're lucky, because sometimes if it works, people don't like to get off them or they just go here. I don't know about out there, but they're available online. You don't really need a doctor, and they just start sending you,
Mm.
they just increase the dose constant every month. They just increase it to the top dose. Like they don't ask how you're doing, nothing. So it's a
Mhm.
little bit crazy. I don't want to hold you up too long. It's so
Mhm.
late your time. If does anyone have any last minute questions? It's so late. It is so late.
It's
Stephen, I
okay.
hate to keep them up. I know, but
Mhm.
I'm tired too, and I have to go back to my page.
I think everyone's just happy talking to each other in the chat, which is lovely. I think it's just really nice to see
Oh, are they
people
talking?
bantering and a little bit of I think
I'm reading the chat when I'm like this, or I have this big magnifying glass, and
all right.
I'm not ashamed to use it either. My husband finally got it for me, so that would help me with. I have a little eye issue going on, guys, but it'll be okay. Okay, wait a second. Just a couple
We
more so we could. Any advantage to grounding cold? Oh, grounding. I let my chickens.
grounding. Do you want me
Marie
to
Bear.
read it for you? Do you want me to read it?
Just read it, please, because I don't know
Yeah.
what all I see is underwear, and I'm going, "Uh-oh, what is this?"
Oh
Go ahead.
well, focus on the thing that's interesting. Um,
I'm like, "Underwear?"
yeah, exactly. Any advantage to grounding cold exposure on frozen ground in the water in the winter? See, I read it badly as well. I let my chickens out every morning barefooted in my underwear, I think. So, well, that's a lovely image. Well, yes, any direct contact with the earth definitely seems to be beneficial, because you're getting all the electrons basically, and the way when people say, "Well, that's really weird, barefoot on the grass," I think, well, actually, you're looking at it the wrong way round. Because if I said to you, I think what you should do is wrap your feet in some sort of plastic and insulate your feet from ever touching the earth, that sounds weird to me, to be honest.
Ugh,
It doesn't sound
I love
natural in any way, shape, or form. You put your socks on, then put your shoes on, and make sure whatever happens, your bare feet do not touch the ground, is odd. So, yes. Yes, yes, because you will get ground in the cold weather. You'll get cold thermogenesis, and you'll get grounding. So yes, but I think this is one of the things. If you're barefoot and it's cold, you are quite invigorated. I think it's quite, it's not the most comfortable thing. But what I was talking about, the cold exposure in a very brief time. If if you've got a beautiful sort of frosty grass, and I know this from when I run, I do wear spikes. So I might actually, take my trainers off and then go across the grass to get onto the track. And if it's cold, it's fantastic. It's really nice. But anyway, being in your underwear, obviously that's all right because that stops you getting arrested. Feeding your chickens, this is a lovely sort of image, isn't it? Because yeah, I can just see that person doing that, and it's just
I
a brilliant
I I
image.
I live in Missouri. So the Midwest, and he's probably my neighbor. Let's just put it that way. I will be at the Great British Meetup because I am going to UK June 7th through June 17th, Somerset, Bridgewater. Will I see you there?
I don't know if I haven't been invited, so I don't know. I don't know.
I haven't been invited either. I am
All
just
right.
planning on showing up.
All right. Well,
I'm
that's
just
good.
going. I hear there's something in the planning stage, so I would just plan to be there. And George is going to teach me as an American and my husband what not to say as Americans, that we don't say the wrong terminology and have everyone laugh at us. Okay, have you seen in your practice, I'm sure they mean you, people who refuse to get off the GLP-1 antagonist and want to stay on them forever?
Well, I think April, if I could rephrase that for you, because I think people that come to me know that I'm not a fan of them. So that's what I will see. I will see people that don't want to be on them. So my experience is particularly unfair because it would sound like, wow, nobody's really liking them. So it is that sort of echo chamber thing where nobody comes to me who's happy with them. They only come to me when they're unhappy with them. And also, I think a lot of people that try the GLP ones may stay on them long term because their physician is changing dosages or trying to tinker with them or allaying their fears about the fact that they're always feeling nausea. So it's a can of worms really, because I just can't see long term it resolving itself. GLP-1s were used maybe 11 years ago in diabetes. Glucagon-like peptides, were reasonably good at reducing a little bit of blood glucose, but they didn't stick around in that field, and that should tell you something, to be honest. So now they're higher dosage, and those side effects are real. I mean, Dr. David Unwin is coming onto my program in a couple of weeks. We're going to talk about thyroid hormones and how they tend to trend lower in this way of eating. But he did a great thing at one of the meetups last year, and he was talking about GLP-1s and blindness being a side effect. So there may be people out there that don't realize that there are side effects. So they're taking them and thinking they're happy and they're losing the weight, and don't know there could be some trouble brewing. It would be lovely to think that these things would just be the magic pill, but it's messing with too much of the physiology to think there's any way out of this other than big disappointments and rebound weight and lots of expense and side effects. But I could be wrong. There's a
I
lot of
don't
money,
think I
but
don't think you're wrong. I think as they become cheaper, more available, I think they'll be at our, I forget what you call them in your country, but our drugstores, I think they're going to be available pretty readily in the next few years. And
yes,
I think coaches and other businesses that have to gently hold hands with these people and help, and if it's not too late, because it could be permanent damage,
yeah,
help them back. And and maybe there's a reason why I fell into looking into GLP-1s and really inviting guests on. Just I just want to learn about them. One last question. I keep saying I'm going to let you go. A desiccated liver for thyroid, I do have an opinion on that versus the and I know you're not a doctor.
desiccated thyroid. Did you say?
That's
What's the
it.
actual?
We
Is
have
this your personal question?
no.
Oh, go on.
No, it's just the top of a conversation. We have thin Leviver, and desiccated thyroid, and there's always an argument on it.
As in what? What's the argument? Sorry, what's the
That
question?
that you should not take anything but desiccated thyroid medication.
Oh,
But I
right.
don't know.
What's the reason for that?
And they don't really give one.
Oh,
Let's move to
how?
something important. Tell me, quick round. What are your thoughts on fasting?
Well, actually, no. I just want to know a bit more about the desiccated thyroid because that's interesting. Because it works for some people. This is the thing. I will talk about fasting as well.
I can't speak to it unless these people are on and you
Yeah.
feel
Okay.
free to post the question, because there's been some big discussions on it recently that you
Mm,
don't want the pharmaceutical that most doctors prescribe
mm-hmm.
for uh, thyroid conditions and not Hashimoto's, but just regular, I guess.
Well, let me just give you my take on thyroid anyway, because one of the things that I would definitely say is that you can do an iodine clearance test. You can actually find out whether you are deficient in iodine. That's the first thing, because many people, if you haven't got the raw materials to make thyroid hormone, then that's a good place to start. Secondly, then how you dose it, whether you use drops, for instance, compared to, see, I'm a big fan of potassium iodide as a tablet because it's so perfectly dosed for most people, whereas drops are not really an exact science. And I do know that you excrete it out, which is exactly what the clearance test does. But I think people don't really understand the bloods in the first place. So if your T3 is low, for instance, and your TSH is subclinical, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong. If you're feeling good and you have got perfect temperature and all that. So I think it's really, to be honest, it's a bigger thing than just saying, yeah, you should take that or not take it. I'd rather get into a bit more nuance. And like you say, I'm running out of time. So we'll get on to this last question that you put on the screen.
Last one, and then we're done. And then we're just going to go.
Go for it, yeah. Could there be side effects from allulose that is mildly work as a GLP-1? How it works for type 1 diabetics? All right. So yes, allulose is a sweetener. It's not a GLP-1 agonist. It doesn't activate the GLP-1 receptors. So that's it. But it is a sugar. I mean, that's it. It doesn't spike your blood glucose. I think that's it. It's for type 1 diabetes, it's pretty safe because it's not going to interfere with your insulin dosage and it's not going to cause you to be hypoglycemic. So as a sweetener goes, it's not bad, but it doesn't really do anything like a GLP-1.
Perfect. Guys, we're ending the stream. It is late, and those close fans are going, get him to sleep, get him to bed. So thank you. I'll see everybody on the other side. Thank you guys so much. And I really